Another big story we are breaking this morning. The United States Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, putting out a statement saying that the onus is on Pakistan to de-escalate. Very clearly, the United States reading out the Riot Act to the Pakistani army. In the statement, the US has asked this terror state to take meaningful action against terror groups operating from Pakistani soil. The US Secretary of State also reiterated in the statement that the terrorist groups operating on Pakistani soil were hurting Indian interests and that Pakistan should avoid military tensions being ramped up. Pompeo spoke to Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi and asked him to exercise restraint on all fronts. Pompeo also spoke to External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj about the current situation in the subcontinent. A very, very significant statement this coming from the US Secretary of State, putting the onus entirely on Pakistan to de-escalate the current tension, warning against any move that could lead to further tension between India and Pakistan, warning against any kind of military retaliation, and asking Pakistan to strike against terror outfits operating from Pakistani soil. That's the very critical message going from the US Secretary of State. And for perspective on this very significant statement, because remember, in the past, after the Parliament terror attack in the early part of the 2000 decade and even after the 26/11 attack, there was pressure on India from the United States to de-escalate. Now the pressure squarely on Pakistan. Sushant Sareen from the Observer Research Foundation joins us for perspective on this very strongly worded US statement coming from the Secretary of State. Sushant, putting the onus entirely on Pakistan to de-escalate the current tension, warning them against any kind of military retaliation. Sushant, good morning, welcome.
Thank you, Rahul. I think what this statement indicates to me that two of the pillars of the Pakistani policy in the region, also against India, and one of the reasons why something like Pulwama happened and the Pakistanis thought they'll get away with it. One was, of course, the nuclear bluff. And second was an indication of that was available earlier as well as yesterday when Shah Mahmood Qureshi was warning the Americans that, look, the peace process in Afghanistan will get affected. So clearly the Pakistanis had thought that because the Americans are dependent on them right now, they can push the envelope, they can carry out attacks against India with impunity and go back to that 90s kind of a situation when the Americans used to generally lean in their favor. But what has happened is that, one, India called the nuclear bluff. Second, the Americans haven't fallen for the Afghan blackmail, which the Pakistanis have been doing. So which means that the Pakistanis will need to go back to the drawing board. If they now pull out of the Afghan peace process, if they try and become a spoiler in that, then, clearly there will be consequences for Pakistan as well. So I think the better thing for Pakistanis to do would be to stand down, to back off, to clean up their act. But I'm not very sure that they will do it, because if they was that sensible, then they wouldn't be Pakistanis, would they?
Stay with me, Sushant Sareen. I want to go across to our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan. She joins us this morning. A lot of the action after these aerial strikes now focused on the diplomatic offensive. Geeta, we've seen a very significant statement from the US Secretary of State. What are your sources in the Ministry of External Affairs making of this very powerful statement from Washington, D.C.?
Well, Rahul, two of three very important countries have not just come out in support of India, but endorsed India's action. That's significant. This is one of the most important shift in India's Pakistan policy. Never has India gone into Pakistani territory, and with support coming in from various countries, US has endorsed India's actions against terrorism is going to be significant. It's not what India or what the reaction in India is going to be, Rahul. More so what the reaction in Islamabad, particularly in Rawalpindi, is going to be of great significance. They're going to wake up to the statement where in the same breath Pompeo speaks of speaking to Sushma Swaraj and to Qureshi, and on the one hand he supports India, endorses India's action, and on the other hand he's asking Pakistan to take meaningful action against terrorist group. So a very significant statement coming our way from the United States of America. India surely is welcoming it, but it's the Islamabad Rawalpindi reaction that we're waiting for as to how they're going to react to a country that is a strategic partner in the AFPAC region, and how Pakistan is now going to arm twist the United States of America in the AFPAC region, like Sushant was talking about.
Very significant statements also coming from France. Pakistan must put an end to all the terror groups operating out of Pakistani soil. A very powerful statement also coming from Australia. To get the sense of the mood in Rawalpindi and Islamabad at this time, I want to go across to India. Today is Hamza Amir, who joins us from Pakistan. The National Command Authority meeting has been called. This is, for those who don't know, the apex body which takes decisions on nuclear weapons in Pakistan. A bit of saber-rattling happening here on the side of Islamabad. What's your understanding of how Pakistan will react after this Indian aerial strike? What's your sense of the mood in the civilian and military establishment in Pakistan, Hamza?
Well, Rahul, you see, since yesterday, even when the ISPR spokesperson Major General Asif Ghafoor spoke, he said our response is going to be different. It is going to be a different response, and it's going to be from all domains. So I think what Pakistan is trying to do is flex its muscles to build up its case in front of the world, that it can actually, even not write out the fact that they could talk on nuclear arm flexing as well, but certainly that is not on the books. That is certainly Pakistan is what's going to do is it's going to build up a case on that. But Pakistan is definitely looking for other options as well, which includes the line of control, which includes the working boundary, the tensions on the line of control and the working boundary. But we might not see an action by Pakistan like a similar one to what India has done, because Pakistan does not claim any terror group operating inside India or inside Jammu Kashmir, which is actually acting against Pakistan. So Pakistan cannot actually go into a locality and target, hideouts of militants, because Pakistan does believe there are no hideouts or there are no militants in Jammu Kashmir. It's a freedom fight, as what Pakistan calls it. But Pakistan definitely is getting everyone on board, trying to get everyone on board. It's a diplomatic offense that started. Today there's a joint session of the parliament that's been called in. The parliament is going to be taken on board. The army also, is going to be, talk to, because it's a high-level meeting. The National Command Authority, as you said, that it's the highest authority for nuclear group. So that is something that Pakistan is going to weighing, and then not to forget it's Kulbhushan Yadav that is with Pakistan as well. So Pakistan, I think, is going to try to act diplomatically as strong as possible and build up a case, even not with a hidden threat that Pakistan is a nuclear state. You have to listen to what Pakistan has to say as well. I think that is what Pakistan is looking into in the future.
Well, they're trying to use the nuclear bogey, but I think that bluff has been called by India, the United States and the world at large. Let's show you. Okay, Sushant Sareen, a lot of Pakistani saber rattling at this time. The National Command Authority, which controls their nuclear weapons, that's the meeting that's been called. Is this a signal to the world that, you poke us, the first thing we'll do is unleash our nuclear arsenal?
No, but Rahul, that's been a standard operating procedure, hasn't it? Of the Pakistanis to, do this nuclear saber rattling. In fact, Praveen Swami wrote a piece yesterday in which he quotes a former Corps commander who's a very highly regarded, I don't know why he's highly regarded, because apparently his strategic foresight is worth nothing to no one, but who talks about doing this nuclear saber rattling, because he says that if India's, these kind of cross-border strikes are going to undermine the deterrence which Pakistan had built up. And so he says that we need to go up the escalation ladder and do this nuclear saber rattling at the same time. But the important thing is his entire premise is based on two things. One, that because India is a richer and a more prosperous country, it has a lot more to lose, so it won't go down that path. And secondly, that nobody wants a nuclear exchange, it is nuclear saber rattling. Now the point is, if India is going to call their bluff, and if India is not going to hold back on going up the escalation ladder, then where does that leave the Pakistani theory? So clearly they don't want to go down that path, but this kind of false machismo which they're going to try and show, I think there will be a cost attached to it. The better thing for the Pakistanis to do would be to stand down. But like I said, that's the sensible thing to do, and you don't expect Pakistanis to do the sensible thing.
Other thing that we're seeing play out is that Pakistan is now putting pressure on the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Countries, asking them to de-invite India as a guest of honor for this meeting that happens at the beginning of next month. Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs editor, is with us. Geeta, how is New Delhi responding to this pressure being put by Islamabad on the OIC The UAE invited us as a guest of honor to this meeting after decades. It's a big deal that under Prime Minister Modi, we've been invited by the OIC as a guest of honor. Now Pakistan wants that invite to be taken back. How is New Delhi ensuring that this doesn't happen?
Well, Rahul, there has been a paradigm shift in relations between India and the UAE. UAE is the one that has invited India this time around as guest of honor. And as per procedure, every year there is a guest of honor. Last time around it was Canada. This time it's India. But there are two countries in that West Asian region that have become very important partners of India, and they're the most significant and important countries in that region, and that's Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So while Qureshi dialed up the foreign ministers and the leaders of Saudi Arabia and UAE to rethink and re-evaluate India's invitation, India also has been engaging West Asia. There were all the ambassadors that the foreign secretary met yesterday, but there has also been a real contact with the leadership of UAE and Saudi Arabia, and as of now the plan stands in place. There has been no withdrawal of the invitation for India to attend and be the guest of honor at the 46th plenary session of the OIC. So while Pakistan has been trying to ratchet up issue of Kashmir, calling for an emergency meeting, it doesn't seem like it is really going down well with the most important countries in the OIC, and that's Saudi Arabia and UAE. And so there has been no rethink right now when it comes to India's invitation, Rahul.
Tell us, Hamza Amir, what all will happen in Pakistan today? There's a joint session of Parliament, the National Command Authority meeting as well. What all is happening, and what was the mood like when the opposition leaders were speaking? It seems as if Imran Khan, it was showing on his face as well in that meeting that he did yesterday of his Security Council, a lot of pressure showing on the Pakistani Army Chief and on the Pakistani Prime Minister.
Well, yes, in fact, see, the pressure would show because they're coming deep inside Pakistan from the airspace from Muzaffarabad. It certainly raising a lot of questions, and there are contradictory statements that are coming in as well. Our defense minister, whose statement you just played out as well, he said the airplanes came around 4 to 5 kilometers inside. While I was in Kashmir, I know for a fact that from Chakoti till Balakot site, I have a Pakhtunkhwa, it is at least 60 miles. So it's a very deep, inside the Pakistani state, and Pakistan is not actually creating a very strong case as per now of what actually happened. Pakistan claims there was no strike. But in Pakistan, there is a different mood that's going on. It was a National Security Committee meeting that happened yesterday. There's a joint session of the parliament called in by Prime Minister Imran Khan today. There's also the National Command Authority meeting that is going to convene under the Pakistan Army and other heads of the institutions. And then Pakistan's ISPR is going to be taking selected foreign media and local media people to that same place, which claims, Indian planes actually dropped their payload, and that basically landed in a barren place. Pakistan claims there was no casualty reported, from Pakistani side, while India claims there were at least 350 terrorists killed. So in Pakistan is trying to build up its case on this domain as well, that they're going to be taking the people over there, the journalists and foreign dignitaries over there, to show them that what India claims is not right. So on the other side,
a full report on the kind of diplomatic offensive that's been mounted by India against Pakistan at this time. Multiple envoys being called in, being briefed by the Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale, being told about India's action and the need to put pressure on Islamabad to exercise.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.